Her aunt girl said that either a demon or a mimic was basically...
Alright, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm just trying to stay awake, bro, for a little while for my food digest, and we're just gonna stream some of these paranormal stories. If you join in, let's just
terrorizing her family in Appalachia. This story is crazy, and if you get scared easily, I would just scroll right on past. So in 2018, Tangina's grandmother was up in her room sleeping. Her aunt and her grandmother slept in the same room because her grandmother needed help throughout the night. Now, her aunt was downstairs in the kitchen getting ready to come up for bed. As her aunt is getting ready to come up the stairs to go to bed, she hears this big bang! And it's coming from her grandmother's room. So her aunt runs up the stairs because she's worried about her grandmother. And as soon as she gets into the room, she sees that her grandmother, or her mother, is holding her head. And she's like, what's going on? What's wrong? And she told her that something had slammed her head against the wall. This terrified her grandmother so much that ever since this happened, her grandmother refused to be anywhere alone. Anywhere. Poor woman. I feel so bad. As her grandmother's health unfortunately starts to decline, her grandmother decides that she doesn't want to sleep in that room anymore. She doesn't want to be in that room ever again. So she wants to move her room downstairs, or her bed downstairs. Tangina said that to this day, her grandmother, if she is ever left alone, will absolutely panic. So fast forward to 2020 during the first couple weeks of the pandemic. Tangina's younger brother and sister were staying at her aunt's house because her parents were out of the country. So it's important to note that at this time, Tangina's older cousins, there's 3 of them, all worked, and her younger cousin didn't have school because of the pandemic. She also said that her aunt and her grandmother were also home a lot. One day they're all hanging out, and it's pretty boring because it's in the middle of the pandemic, and so her aunt decides to take her younger cousin and her little brother out for a walk to kind of get their mind off things and just take them out for something to do. Her little sister actually didn't know that they had went outside for a walk, so she went upstairs to go look for them. As she walks up the stairs, she's walking past her older cousin's room, and she notices that he's sitting in his room, but he's sitting in the dark on his bed with just the TV light shining on him, sitting there. Couldn't really see his face clearly, but she's kind of standing there looking at him when he goes, come here. Her little sister is kind of like, no, what do you want? And he goes, come inside my room. She at this point has this bad feeling for some reason, and she does not want to go into that room. So she walks down the stairs and she opens the front door. As soon as she opens the front door, she walks out. She sees her younger brother, her younger cousin, her aunt, and the same cousin that was just sitting upstairs. At this point, she is freaking out. So she runs over to her cousin and she's like, I just saw you upstairs. What are you doing down here? I just saw you. And he was like, you did not see me. I've been at work all day. This obviously freaks everybody out, right? But now we're fast forwarding to a couple years later. So during this time, her older cousin is going through a rough patch. He's drinking a lot. And he likes to go out into the woods to do these things. But one night, her oldest cousin, so his older brother, was upstairs sleeping in his room with his wife. Now, while they're sleeping, around 3 o'clock in the morning, his wife wakes up. She sees somebody walking around their bed. She said that she could barely see it because it was like pitch black in the room though, but she saw someone walking around her bed. And she's thinking to herself, they always lock the door. So she's thinking, that I know that door was locked. Who is in here? Whatever this is gets to the point where it's standing in front of the Wi-Fi router, and so there's light shining on it, and she sees that it's her husband's younger brother, same one that was having a rough time, that was struggling. Now, he had long hair at the time, and she noticed that it was like in front of his face. So she thinks this is weird, as would anyone. Then she watches him as he starts shaking his head like this and walking from the door to the foot of the bed to back. Just door, foot of the bed, back. She gets so scared at this point that she starts trying to wake up her husband, and he's not waking up at all. So she starts digging her nails into him, kind of like secretively.
Facts, bro. I'll be like, pow, get up. What your little brother doing up here walking here with? It's like, bro, it's 3 in the morning, and your little brother has somehow gotten in our room with his hair over his face, walking back and forth, shaking his head. And he's not announcing himself. He's not telling me what he's doing in here. And you telling me you sleep. You don't just hear this nigga doing that. Bro, if I was in bed, I'd be like, wake up. Stop the fuck out of this.
He's still not waking up. She is frozen in fear watching this. When finally, he wakes up. She then looks over at him and she goes, your younger brother's in our room. He looks over and there's no one in the room anymore. And she's like, I swear he was just in the room. And he's like, we have to talk about this tomorrow. I'm too tired. Next morning, they get up and they walk downstairs, and he goes up to his little brother and he's like, listen, were you in our room last night? And he goes, no, I wasn't even home. He was out. in the woods. Tangina also mentioned that in their culture, they don't get intoxicated, or they're not supposed to, because they believe that they are more susceptible to evil if they do. So he was the only one that would ever get intoxicated. Things just get worse. Fast forward to about a year ago at this point. Her cousin's wife is doing laundry downstairs in the basement. It's important to note that there are two big fridges in the basement. Top of the fridge is their laundry product. So her cousin's wife is doing laundry, and she reaches for the detergent pods on top of the fridge. But as soon as she reaches for it, the box just slides back. At this point, she's like, okay, my mind is playing tricks on me. So she reaches up for it again and slides back again. At this point, she's getting annoyed. So she jumps up, goes to reach for it, and the box just slides all the way back aggressively. Hits the wall, falls behind the fridge. At this point, she's like, nope. And she runs upstairs.
Facts.
This next part, I think, is the scariest part of the story. So her cousin works really late at night, her oldest cousin, and he's coming back from work at this point, and he is absolutely starving. So he wants to go downstairs in the basement to get something out of the fridge. He's a tall guy, so when he has to look into the fridge, he has to hunch over pretty far. And at this point, he's hunched over looking into the fridge, and he feels this weird feeling, like something is behind him, watching him. So he slowly turns his head, and what he saw absolutely horrified him. Standing right in front of him is a girl with a white dress on, long black hair. Her mouth is literally unhinged. It's open so wide, and her eyes are just rolled into the back of her head. She's doing the same head shaking motion from side to side as her wife saw her brother doing. Oh, this reminds me of one of my scary stories. He said that he ran up those stairs so fast, and it was a long time before he ever went back in that basement. After this, somebody sends them some sort of message. Her oldest cousin is cooking in the kitchen and hears this rattling coming from inside of the fridge. They have this magnetic scissor holder on the fridge, but he just kind of ignored it and continued cooking. But as he's cooking, he couldn't help but look at the fridge again. And as he did, he saw the scissors lift up out of their holder and just fall to the ground. Tangina said that she doesn't know how that happened or if that was some sort of message, but she wants to know if anyone has any thoughts on any of this. Oh God, what did you guys think about that story?
Whenever I hear about the Scottown monster, yes, there was a literal monster terrorizing Jamaica for years, and nobody not seem to remember about it. So in 2008, the residents of Scottown, Manchester, them did face an issue, and the issue was them crops them did get damaged. So them melon, them pumpkin, other plants, other fruits. But there was one specific thing that multiple residents them did complain about, and it was them banana tree. So in the night, the residents them we complain, so them might hear like rustling, which part them plant them, when them have them grown where them plant them thing them. They might hear rustling, and they might hear them the dog them are going mad at night time. So like sometimes they might look through the window, they might try to look, they might see something, but them don't know what they might see. So in the morning when them go out there, the banana tree them flatter ground, the leaf not touch, the fruit not touch, but the bark rip up like something and eat the bark of the banana tree.
What?
So the community members them then come together and they might talk about it, they might share them experience, and they must say, yo, we have to do something about this, because our livelihood this. It can come mash up with things them and name out with banana tree them.
I ain't gonna lie, bro. I can't understand nothing she's saying, bro. And usually I can follow Jamaican. Like, you know what I'm saying? But she's speaking and all I hear is banana tree over and over again. I don't know what she's saying. Let's get past the story time. I literally don't know what she's saying.
When she believes that
there's a literal monster that was terrorizing Jamaica for years, and we don't even know if it's still out there.
Gather round, because I have another spooky story. The story was submitted by someone who believes that the man her mother has been dating is not just controlling and emotionally draining. She believes that he might actually be something much more dangerous and a lot less human. Let's get right into the story. My mom has been with her boyfriend for over a decade now. When she first introduced us, I remember thinking how charming he was. The kind of person who made a point to remember small details about everyone he met and use them to make you feel seen. When they first started dating, my mom seemed happier than I'd seen her in years. It felt like she had found someone who brought her back to life. But that version of him didn't last. Over the years, the charm thinned out. He became quieter, more withdrawn, and less interested in anyone outside of my mom. Family dinners became rare, and holidays were suddenly inconvenient. When he did show up, he watched conversations more than he participated in them. His attention was always drifting back to my mother, as if he needed to keep her within reach. But what really bothered me was how much my mom changed. She became distant and oddly subdued, like her emotions had been dulled. She stopped laughing the way she used to and seemed tired all the time. Not just physically, but in a deeper, heavier way. Within just a few years, she looked dramatically older. Her face weathered and her posture slumped, as if the life had slowly been drained out of her. People who hadn't seen her in a while would comment on how different she looked, asking if she was sick or just under a lot of stress. She always insisted that she was fine. Her boyfriend, on the other hand, never changed. No new lines appeared on his face. His hair never thinned or grayed. Even his posture stayed the same, upright and alert, in a way that felt unnatural for someone who was supposed to be aging alongside her. Family meals were another thing. He always insisted on cooking when we visited, making elaborate dishes that smelled incredible, but he never actually ate with us. He would sit at the table, push food around his plate, take sips of wine, and eventually excuse himself without finishing. Sometimes the plates would be cleared later, his food still untouched. If anyone commented on it, he'd smile and say he had a sensitive stomach, or that he'd already eaten earlier. The explanation changed often enough that I just stopped keeping track. The moment that shattered any remaining sense of normalcy came when I found old photos. I was helping my mom clean out a closet one afternoon when I opened a box of albums that she hadn't looked at in years. Mixed in with pictures from my childhood were older photos that I didn't recognize. Black and white and faded color prints from decades earlier. In several of them, her boyfriend was there, and he looked exactly the same.
Ooh.
The photos were dated over 40 years ago, and across different pictures, he appeared beside two women that I didn't recognize, each identified in handwriting on the back as his wife at the time. I later learned that both women had passed away years earlier from undisclosed illnesses. My mom said she knew that he had been previously married, and she confirmed that the names of those women were the names of his previous wives. After that, I began to inspect his behavior more thoroughly. He never went out during the day unless he absolutely had to. And when he did, he complained about the light as if it physically bothered him. The curtains in the house were always drawn, even on cloudy days. And he insisted on low lighting indoors. It felt as though his body was calibrated for nighttime. I caught myself thinking of the word vampire one evening, and immediately felt ridiculous for even considering it. I didn't believe in things like that, but still, once the idea surfaced, it was hard to push it back down. He never aged, and he never ate. He seemed to thrive while my mother visibly deteriorated. And most unsettling of all, the people he had loved before her were all gone, while he remained exactly the same. I didn't want to believe it, but I couldn't ignore how neatly the pieces fit together once I allowed myself to look at them that way. The fact that I could even think this way made it clear that, vampire or not, he was not good for my mom. That was when we started trying to get her away from him. My siblings and I suggested trips, dinners, and even staying with us for a while. She declined every time, refusing to go anywhere without him. When we insisted, her responses became strange, repetitive, and detached, as if she were reciting something rather than speaking from her own thoughts. She insisted he loved her and that she was fine. Her voice sounded flat when she said it, lacking the warmth that it used to carry. I was visiting one afternoon when her boyfriend was in the kitchen preparing food. I heard him curse sharply, and I turned to see blood dripping from his hand onto the counter. The cut was deep enough that it should have required stitches. I panicked and insisted that he go to the hospital, grabbing paper towels and trying to apply pressure to the wound. He pulled his hand away calmly and told me he was fine. 2 days later, when I saw him again, his hand wasn't bandaged. There was no cut, no mark of any kind. I commented on it without thinking, and the look he gave me was the first time I felt genuine suspicion that something about him really wasn't right. His expression turned alert, as if I had noticed something that I wasn't supposed to. He claimed that he had never actually been cut, and that the knife slipping only made him think that he was injured. But that was a lie. I saw the blood dripping from his hand, and cleaned it up myself. After that, he became more controlling of my mom's time and more distant towards me. Visits stopped entirely, unless he was present, and eventually, even phone calls became rare. Now, when I do see my mother, she feels far away, like she's only partially there. She speaks slowly, avoids eye contact, and just generally looks exhausted. Standing next to him, she resembles a woman 20 years older than she should be, while he remains unchanged. We've tried everything we can think of to get her out of that house, but she refuses to leave him. And I think it's because she physically can't. Okay, so what do you think is really happening? Is this just a simple case of emotional manipulation and gradual isolation that maybe just feels supernatural? Or is the submitter's instinct right? That her mom is essentially trapped in a relationship with something that is feeding off of her? Let me know your thoughts and theories in the comments, and don't forget to follow for the next spooky story.
Let's talk about something scary. If you're new here, hi. I usually talk about pretty scary stuff, and I actually have an email where anyone finds this page to send me their ghost stories. And let me tell you, some of these are so effing scary. And a lot of them just make me think about what I would do in that situation, and this is one of them. So let's get into it.
Let's go.
The story comes from somebody who did not specify whether or not they wanted to remain anonymous, so for obvious reasons, I'm going to keep them anonymous. So the person who sent me this email says that she never noticed any of the activity that went on in her home to begin with because everybody was always at home anyways, so there was never an opportunity for her to be alone up until this point. She likes to include that she was a little bit of a shit starter when she was a little kid. I'm talking like 11, 12, 13 years old. However, because of this, like I said before, she had never been home by herself up until this point. And in this particular instance, she was suspended from school, which is why she was at home by herself. But her mom had left her a list of chores that she needed to get done before everyone came home that day, which included doing laundry in the basement of the home. Now, it's important to note that the person who sent me this email already didn't like the basement. There was just something weird about it. I don't know. It just freaked her out.
I wouldn't want to leave you laundry in the basement.
It's important to note that in this home, there's absolutely no way that anybody else could have been in this house. It is literally the middle of the day, so unless somebody broke a window and climbed through it, there is no way that anybody was in this home. Which is how the person who sent me this email got freaked out. The person who sent me this email, while in the basement, begins to hear things. And I don't mean in like a psych yourself out kind of situation. I mean she's listening to music, and over the music she can hear something happening. She pauses the music and can hear these loud boots dragging across the floor. Somebody is walking around with these boots on. So immediately the person who sent me this freezes and is like, who the hell is home? It's the middle of the day. My parents are at work. Nobody's supposed to be in the house. What if somebody broke in? Stays there frozen in fear before getting enough courage to walk around her house looking for the entry point of this person after she didn't hear anything after the first couple minutes. Here's the kicker. She could not find anything out of the ordinary. All the windows were latched. There was no missing screams. Everything was fine. Like every door, every window was locked to perfection, and she could not understand why she heard these boots. Now, an additional detail that was included in this story time is the fact that before and after the situation, she had been seeing shadowy figures all over her house for the entire day. And I'm talking like, see out of the corner of your eye, you look and there's nothing there. So she had been experiencing paranormal activity from the start to finish of this entire day, all by herself. And she concludes this email by saying that she has no idea what the hell it was. It still freaks her out to this day, and she doesn't understand how or why she was hearing these footsteps. But anyways, that's gonna do it for me. Stay tuned for my ghost stories.
I did witchcraft on my baby daddy. So this girl says that she's from San Luis Potosí, and 8 years ago she was having problems with her baby daddy. She explains that in her desperation, she met somebody who told her that they would help her get him back. Love and witchcraft, I just don't think those mix. Like, you should never force somebody to be with you. Okay, but also the fact that you gave this person kids. You sacrificed your body, and he doesn't want you back. Fuck him. Fuck him. Oh, right. Damn. You want to hear the story? Yeah. She says that she's a dumbass and she had no idea what she was getting herself into, but she agreed to do anything that this witch told her to do. She remembers that she got 3 black candles with something else that the witch had given her, and when she tried to light them up, they wouldn't light up. By the way, the witch had already told her, if the candles do not turn on, just cuss them out. It's because there's a block. Somebody's protecting him. So cuss the candles out and then turn them on. That's exactly what she did, and that worked. To be very specific, the witch told told her, si no prenden las velas, aviéntale la madre. Why is everything so much better in Spanish? What the fuck? She explains that the second that the candles lit up, she saw this like really small black snake come out of nowhere. She obviously got really scared when she saw the snake, so she ends up running inside of her house to get away from that. And that is exactly when a lot of ugly things started happening. She says that he did return, but you could tell that it was almost like an obligation. Like, you could tell he didn't want to be there, but he was there. This is the creepy part for me. Her daughter, who was 5 years old at the time, got up around 3 in the morning to go to the restroom. The only restroom that they had was at the end of a hallway where there was a back door, which led to exactly where she did the witchcraft with the candles and the snake. Her daughter ends up running into her bedroom at 3 in the morning, saying that at the door, because it was a glass door, there was a girl there who was telling her to open the door for her, but that the little girl, looked like a girl but had no face. Not only was this little girl without a face, but apparently worms and black snakes were coming out from where her eye and mouth should be. She said that she lasted 15 days this way, like dealing with random ugly and nasty things, until she went back to that witch who had originally helped her to help her get rid of whatever was going on. When she did come to cleanse the house, she had given the little girl a rosary, and that rosary immediately went missing. When they tell the witch that the rosary went missing, the witch says that was a sign that the bad has disappeared and gone away. And with that, so did her baby daddy. Yeah, he was gone. Obviously, he was there against his will, so when that was, taken away, he immediately left her. Wait, the witch did say that the bad had disappeared. What if your baby daddy was the bad girl? Let him go. Let him leave. Can you imagine doing witchcraft and then accidentally doing shit that your daughter also sees? Fuck that. I would never mess with that stuff. But what do you guys think?
Say that misery loves company, and I have to agree. Why would you want to do something harmful to someone that you don't know just because they're doing better than you? In this story, that's where this happens, and I feel like this happens to a lot of people, but maybe not in this way, or maybe I'm wrong. See reasons I would be changing people's names, and thank you for sharing your story.
Oh, it sounds really crazy. I gotta use the bathroom right quick though. I'll see you on the 6th. Use the bathroom. Alright.
Most people, Erica enjoyed her job. She truly enjoyed her job. She knew everyone. She knew how to manage everything. She knew the rules. She followed them. She executed everything like she was supposed to. No problems at all. And that's why they thought that she was a great candidate to be a manager. Everyone was so excited about her promotion, they threw a potluck. And why not? It's Erica, why not? She's an amazing person. So everyone brought something from their home for the potluck. And Erica was made a special cake from a special someone she thought was a good friend. The potluck was over, everyone grabbed a plate and took something home. Now Erica decided that she was going to eat her cake when she got home, so she took her cake and she said thank you to her friend who made the cake for her, and she took the cake home right after work. She left it in the fridge and completely had forgotten about it. That was until her partner decided to eat the cake instead.
That was something bad.
Didn't eat all of the cake. He had left her a slither of the cake because he kind of felt bad for eating the cake because the cake was so good. And he kind of expressed to Erica, listen, I ate some of your cake. I am so sorry, but that cake was so good. You might as well eat the rest of it because if not, I will.
Being upset, just told him, just eat the rest of the cake. You just left me a little bit. It doesn't even matter. So without hesitation, he went into the fridge and finished off the cake. Now, this is where things get a little weird. Said that shortly after, he started having night sweats, night terrors. He would hear voices, and all of a sudden, he started getting dragged out of bed.
Whoa.
And there was nobody at the edge of the bed. And
Hell
she would
no.
see him get dragged, like literally dragged, as if this was an Exorcist movie. And she could not understand what was going on. On top of that, he had scratches on his back, and she couldn't explain. Is that her boyfriend slowly became depressed. Like, he didn't know what else to do. They prayed, they fasted, but nothing stopped the night terrors. Nothing stopped the voices. He would start hallucinating her in the house while she was at work. They didn't know what else to do, where else to turn. And then one day she told one of her coworkers what was going on. When her coworker suggested for them both to get cleansings, and
I'm telling you, bro, like, I'm about to be out. Like about alarm set. See, the only problem with my stuff is, bro, I used to, before my surgery, I used to be able to eat, and just 30 minutes after eating, I'd be knocked out sleep. Just that good rest, bro. But, yeah, if I don't wait 2 hours to let my food digest, bro, after I finish eating shit, I'm not gonna be asleep. It's gonna be a bad situation. But yeah, right now I am rendering the video for the Neighbors Mr. Nightmare video. I only did to film 3 videos last night, bro. I wanted to film a lot more, but just family stuff came up. And my computer's now tripping, saying that it's ran out of space on my hard drive, and I'm trying to delete a bunch of stuff. I don't even know if it's deleting, to be honest. I'm gonna get a flash drive so I can be able to start. I don't know. It's just annoying. Anyways, let's continue this.
her house to be prayed over, because whatever it was invited in the house. I referred her to a practitioner to see if they could help her. And when she got to the practitioner a couple of days later, the practitioner saw it right on her boyfriend. He says there's something evil on your boyfriend, and you need to get a cleansing right now, because if not, it's going to kill him. Stated to Erica, if you guys didn't bring anything into the home, no objects, no items, no nothing, then he must have been fed something. And that's when it clicked for Erica. Her coworker had made her a cake. And that is what caused all of this to start. And she could not ignore it. And the practitioner said to her, who was the person who gave you the cake? And when Erica said the name, chills went down the spine of the practitioner. And that's when the practitioner said, is the person who did it. Now it's time to reverse this and send it right back to the sender. It said after doing the return to sender to her coworker, that her coworker was complaining to other people that she wasn't sleeping at night, she was having a lot of nightmares, or she didn't understand what was going on. And that's when Erica knew that the practitioner was not lying. So what do you guys think that coworker did? What do you think that was haunting Erica's boyfriend?
I have no idea.
Why would you do that to somebody?
That makes me not want to eat cake.
Oh my gosh, guys, wait until you hear this story from one of my followers, Martina. It is freaking terrifying. So she tells the story from when she was a night shift CNA in a small nursing home in northern Alabama. Martina does say that she is a believer in the paranormal, as she has seen quite a few things during her childhood. Seeing figures in her doorway or ghostly figures walking up the fence line near her bedroom window. And she says she's never really been afraid of them until that night while she was working the night shift. So a few weeks prior, they got a new patient in, and she says, we're gonna call this guy Mr. Tom. She said he was really nice and lively, very funny, and he'd always be yelling up the hallways, hello, all night. He was just a really fun guy, and he was always poking fun at all the CNAs, and everybody loved working with him. She said one night she gets to work, and she was handed her rotation, and she notices that Mr. Tom is on there. She was delighted by this because they always shared a lot of laughs together. He was such a cool guy, very talkative. Martina says that since there were only 3 CNAs and 1 nurse per night shift, they were each given an entire hall, and each room had 2 patients inside. So Mr. Tom happened to be paired up with somebody who was in for a short stay. They were just recovering from a back surgery, so they would kind of be in and out within the week. So she says around 3 a.m, they get a call to that room. Somebody needs something. When they get there, they realize that the short stay patient that's in with Mr. Tom was calling them because he was complaining that Mr. Tom would not stop talking and he could not get any sleep. Damn. So Martina and her partner are in the room, and while her partner was getting that guy situated, Martina went over to talk to Mr. Tom. So Martina's like, Mr. Tom, you're getting your roommate all worked up. Could you just maybe let him get some sleep? And then Mr. Tom goes off laughing and talking about how he just can't handle the chatty type. And then he asks, if Martina could go and grab something out of the bathroom for him. So when Martina comes out of the bathroom, Mr. Tom gets unusually quiet, and then he goes, "Girl, who is that behind you?" So that's a little weird, but she kind of shrugs it off and is like, "Come on, Mr. Tom, we both know that there's nobody behind me. Describe them for me then." And so Mr. Tom does. He describes him as a man who has overalls on and white wavy hair, and then chills run down Martina's spine because it's sounding just like her papa, who had passed away 6 years prior. She said she just had this internal knowing that it was absolutely her papa because she had never seen him a day without being in overalls. But then it got even worse because Mr. Tom says, and he says, "You need to leave." She's definitely feeling this sense of urgency, so she quickly rushes out of the room. So now it's about an hour later, and the call light goes off again in Mr. Tom's room. So once again, they go in to check out the situation. Martina says she can't even remember what was needed. Something had to be done. There were a few machines rolled in to check on something. And then as they were rolling the machines out, and it was just down to Martina and Mr. Tom again, she noticed that now he is really quiet again. Definitely not himself. So she bends down and she gets level with Mr. Tom and she's like, "Mr. Tom, are you okay?" "Okay, guys." And then he says, "I need to be quiet so I don't alarm the man." She's like, "What man?" And he's like, "The one behind you." And then she goes, "The one who looks like my papa?" And he goes, "No, a different one, a darker one." I don't like that. But she shrugs it off and she says, "Okay, well, good night, Mr. Tom." And then she turns around and in front of her stands this very tall, black, human-shaped figure that was as tall as the freaking ceiling. She said this thing was so dark and absent of light that she could not even see past it to see the brightly lit hallway behind it. Every hair stood up on her body, and she just knew that she had to get out of that room. And guys, oh my God, I have chills everywhere. She ran through it. She also says she quit that night. You know, as one would. But she says it didn't stay at the nursing home. Guys, she says she believes it followed her. And it just keeps getting worse. She says that continuously, sometimes late at night, she feels something cold and dark lie down next to her in bed.
What?
Or sometimes it grabs at her ankles and she feels like it's trying to pull her off the bed. Are you freaking kidding me? She says she's come to terms with it, which I don't know how.
You don't come to terms with
it. But she says she feels like she should not have run through it because part of it stuck with her. She also understands why her papa said that she needed to leave. It wasn't in a negative way. He was seemingly trying to protect her. Oh my gosh, guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I know that she'll be up in the comments reading too. And if you haven't already, follow for more creepy story time.
We listen, we don't get scared, and we don't judge. Let me tell you guys a story time of when this girl that I thought was my friend wanted me to go crazy simply because I beat her in one assessment back in high school. Mind you, this girl was smarter than me, so I don't know what her problem was. So y'all, me and this girl were not in the same high school, first of all. And you know, sometimes when you're in high school, you tend to do the same assessments, even though you guys are in different schools. Do you hear what I mean? Yes. So y'all, I was the type of person that never took school seriously. I went to school to have fun. You know, like just see my friends, you know, dala what I have to. And then baby girl was smart. Like my friend was, okay, my ex-friend, she was smart as hell. You know, like whenever we used to study, like I used to go sit with her and we would study because I get better marks because she understands a lot of things, you know. And she used to motivate me here and there. But it never got to a point where we went bar for bar. Like, I was always lower, she was always higher, and I didn't care. So this one time, they give us an assessment to complete. We are all writing this assessment on Friday. It was a Friday that we were writing this assessment, right? And then I tell her, like, yo, like, we have this assessment, blah, 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 in this particular subject. She was like, oh, like, us too. Like, we are writing it on Friday as well, or whatever. And it's a closed book assessment. So I was like, no problem, Mobo. The week goes by, she's preparing, I'm not. Because guess what? I was going to study the day before the assessment. I mean, yeah, the day before the assessment, but you know. So lucky for us, the teacher gives us a scope. She gives us topics to actually focus on, and she tells us, okay, some teachers were nice in high school, nice enough to give you a scope. Some of them were just like, nah, like, you need to go study everything, But our teacher was pretty cool. She gives us the scope. She tells us you need to study this, and that, right? Guys, I take a picture of the scope and I send it to the girl. And I'm like, girl, our teacher gave us the scope for us to study on Eva. So, these are the things that you should focus on. If you want to study the whole topic too, study the whole topic too, but focus mainly on this. She was like, oh, chill, thank you, Wawa. This teacher made things easy for me because the day before, I remember I didn't go to school. I don't know why. And I ate. And I studied like nobody's business. I don't know why, but because I wasn't going to study the entire textbook and it was going to make me lazy, I decided to study those topics and I went in, baby. I went in. Get to the assessment, I flow, right? So my friend is used to me complaining when it comes to like us writing assessments, exams, and stuff like that. Because she's gonna be like, how was the exam? How was this? And I'd be like, I wrote what I knew. If I fail, I fail. But this time I was kind of confident because I was like, girl, did you see what I told you about? Like, it all came out and all of that. And she was quiet. But I was like, you know what? Whatever. The following week, our marks come out again. The marks come out at the same time. When I get home, Pela, she texts me on some, girl, how much did you get? And I was like, our teachers didn't really give us like the exact mark that we got, but in percentage, I got.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm falling asleep. I'm just gonna fall asleep. I'm gonna just straight fall asleep. Turn my heater on, straight fall asleep, bro. On my headboard and wake up at. I'm so tired. Oh my gosh. I went to sleep at like 2 in the morning. I went to sleep at like 2 a.m. Oh, I took a little nap yesterday so I could stay up late to record. But like, bro, oh gosh, Jesus.